Where did it go? My organized disaster. Piles of my life, one project at a time. Never finished what I started, but I need something new. I have an idea, a fleeting thought, I can figure it out.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Shiney Compulsion podcast. It's your producer / host Ryan, and across the table here,
hey, it's Tim. How are you?
So this is our new setup. We're going to go over that. That's our thing. This episode is going to be going over our podcast setup. So we originally, Tim has kind of left this off to me, the studio aspect, because that's my thing at this current time. So I've tried to set up like a side-by-side, like, I don't know, not like Joe Rogan, but like how we sit across the table and we talk to each other. I just don't have the kind of equipment that I need to pull off one producer, computer, everything. So I had to set up, Tim is technically remoted into my computer through a new software I found called Riverside.fm. It's a podcast software. I need to look here, not here. This is not the original plan. The original plan was just to get us a fill shot or beside each other, kind of like how the first episode was, just kind of better quality. Yeah. But this is going to have to work, at least for the time being. I do have some video of before and after of this whole setup here, but I didn't really buy anything except for the microphones, which these is here we'll talk about, and the cameras. Everything else I kind of had, but we had to figure out a way to. Well, I had to figure out a way to do this without having to go buy a bunch of audio interfaces and stuff within a day, because I still want to try to do an episode a week. So we are going to discuss our setup here today and what I did and the horrible mess I had, because I spent like all day yesterday trying to get this going. But before we get into that, so what do we got going on this week with you, Tim?
Well, I was just saying, don't we look like really professional now? I think we look really spiffy. I really like the new setup here. I think it looks going to look really good, post-production, when you post this. So I'm really excited about it. So this week I was busy with a lot of trainings and whatnot. Just really had a lot of stuff going on. Didn't get to make trivia this week.
Trivia was pretty bad this week. So our normal host, Cade, got a new job. He still got to host trivia, but he was away for some training. So we had some new hosts this week. I didn't care for them. They were from a local radio station, and it was overly. There was, I think, 9 or 10 teams. So it was loud, and the questions were from Cade, but they were having trouble reading them, and like they switched back and forth, and the one host kind of sat around the corner, and I didn't you didn't see her, you heard her, which I thought was kind of like, okay, how do you host when we can't see you? But then the second one just seemed like she was having trouble reading everything and pronouncing. It was just driving me nuts. But our normal team members were all away, so it was me and my wife, and then my 15-year-old son. So we didn't do too bad point-wise for the month, but we got a 6th place. But there's usually not even that many teams there, really.
Yeah.
Usually there might be 5 or 6 teams on a normal week, but 2 weeks in a row there's been around 10, 12 teams.
Yeah, the popularity's picking up. That's good for them.
Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of those hosts, which I even told the owner that, everybody's trying their best. It seems like they've never done trivia before, but it's hard to pick up from somebody like he has kind of his established, and it's kind of, we want the same thing and we're not getting it from someone who's never been there before. But I'm a complainer about that stuff anyway. I don't like I like having it the same. But I told the owner, if he can't make it again, I'll cover for him.
Yep.
So we'll see.
It's kind of interesting. This week on for those people who have the Robinhood trading app, they actually had trivia this week, and they were playing for $1 million in Bitcoin. I signed up. I was ready to get there at like 4:40 to do it, but totally missed out because I totally forgot about it. But I saw some of the questions. It was kind of interesting. It was all like trading and stuff like that. But yeah, that would have been exciting to play for part of $1 million.
Yeah, well, I have Robinhood. I didn't see that, but all I have on there now is years ago when the Reddit did the whole AMC thing where they jacked the stock prices up. I made a bunch of money from that, and I had a little bit left over, so I bought a whole bunch of that Dogecoin.
Yep.
And I think it was probably towards the beginning of the year, last year, it was up like I think it was around 40 cents.
Yep.
And now it's about 15 cents.
Yeah, it's gone up since then. But I like
it took a nosedive in the past 2 weeks. It like lost about 2/3 of its value. So I mean, I have a lot of them, but when they're worth a couple of cents a piece.
Yeah. But yeah, like the last couple of weeks, the market's been hard. But that's one thing I have a hobby of, just trading stocks, cryptocurrency, also like privately held companies. Also did some investments in movies through like WeFunder. Like my dead friend Zoe this week came out, and I actually have my name in the credits as like one of the contributors. But yeah, just investments in general, just a fun hobby I have, and I like to follow it every day.
Yeah, well, I used to do some, but I bought a whole bunch of that Dogecoin because it was like a penny or two, and it went up to 36 cents. So I bought it. I think when it was about 30 cents, I bought a bunch, and then it nosedived. And when it nosedived, I just bought a whole bunch more because it was so cheap, just to kind of balance off my losses.
Yep.
Even if I sell today, I still made money, but not a lot. It's not like I have millions of them. When they're worth, less than 50 cents a piece. It's not like you're getting a whole lot. I have a few hundred. It's not like I'm retiring with that. I mean, it'll buy a couple of pizzas at this point. That's probably about it. But so, besides investing, I know you've been busy with the firefighters all week, and I seen there's a bunch of training stuff that went around, and I know you're doing your stuff down at the Steam Workshop. Did you get to do anything like that this week?
I actually developed a few rolls of film. I got some scanning done with that. And one thing I'm really interested in that came in this week, I got a digital camera that was modded, taking out the infrared filter on it. So, like, the cameras can actually pick up the infrared light that our human eyes can't see. So it looks really good in, like, black and white pictures or even in color. We can do a lot of, like, color shift stuff in Photoshop. I was actually kind of playing with that a little bit before I came here, and I actually grabbed it. It's in the car. Thought maybe you'd be interested in looking at it after, the show today.
Yeah, that seems pretty cool. I'd definitely be interested in that. I haven't modded camera stuff too much because mine are pretty old. I don't want to risk breaking them. I would like to get a new one and mess with them again. It would be awesome if I could use DSLRs to record this, because I have two of them, but their technology is so old that like it will only stream for like 10 minutes before the video shuts off. So I can't really use them for that. That would be really nice to do that, but these cameras were $20, and DSLR I'm looking at probably $1,000 till I get a lens and get everything set up for it. Maybe if some of you people want to, subscribe and stuff when we have Patreon or whatever we get to where we can try to make money. Yeah, we can get some commercials or something.
Well, maybe not even just make money, just put the money into the show, keep investing in it. Hey, if you guys want to see great stuff, us go on location to fun locations, that's definitely where you can start supporting us, hopefully, in Patreon.
Yeah, well, I did years and years and years ago. I was doing a documentary for roller derby, and I put up, I don't know, it's a GoFundMe, a Kickstarter, one of those.
Yep.
I didn't make anywhere near my goal, but I got a little bit of money from some friends and family, and that paid for some of the equipment that I used, including the clicker that I used at the beginning here. But I made like $100 or $200, and the project kind of fell through because everything always does anymore with the stuff like that when you're counting on other people and you can't get people to show up for stuff. And a project like that is like documentary, like you're following something, hoping something's happened, but when you film for like a year and nothing of substance happens, it's kind of hard. And I didn't really have enough content to put out the full thing, so that ended up getting scrapped. But I'll probably do something like that again someday. I like doing this stuff here with a video podcast. It's kind of like we're doing like little mini one-episode documentaries.
Yeah.
So last week we went to Fizzy's Arcade and we did our interview. He's pretty happy with that. And in a minute, I made a commercial which I cut from film that I took up there after you had left. Mm-hmm. He had his grand opening on Friday, and we were both there, and it was pretty busy.
Yeah, it was awesome to see all those people out there playing. A lot of people were really excited, putting up their high scores and stuff. And I don't know if you noticed, there was a couple of older gentlemen, and they were playing like Space Invaders, and they were talking to Brett. It seemed like they were really big in like the arcade community, because I think they were saying they were even part of some like documentary about like retro arcades and stuff.
Yeah, well, they were on our show first. We were the original, but they were also on another local podcast. I think that the Campus Theater did, which they're actually around the same size as us if you look at numbers.
Yep.
They have better equipment, so their videos looked a little better than ours. But they also were on Channel 16, a local news station.
Yep.
And that got pretty big play. And Brett kind of stole some of our lines from our podcast and repeated them back on the show. But I'll have to give him shit for that later.
It's all good. It's all good. We're the innovators, right?
Yeah. We were talking about in the podcast about the Fortnite and all that stuff, and then he uses that line. I'm like, hey, that was my line. But,
yep.
Yeah, I memorized that because I've had to watch that video and all that so many times editing it together. Because that episode last week was really thrown together.
Yep.
Because we basically planned it on 2 or 3 days' notice because we had the opportunity. We were definitely not ready to be recording live like that.
Yeah.
So it's a little iffy. And then with getting the interruptions, I had to cut in a bunch. And then I didn't have any of this stuff set up, so I just did it in my office. So that's kind of crappy. But I think the content's good.
Yep. What was your favorite game there?
Whew. Well, so normally, I would say Area 51 is my favorite game, but that he has there.
Yeah.
Which I did set the record. I have first place for that, at least on Friday. But I don't know. My fingers my trigger fingers getting sore. I'm playing it so much. I just kind of like trying a little bit of everything. It's really hard to say a favorite one though. I keep going back to I don't really like Carnival, but I like that game. You have like a little shotgun where instead of shooting at the screen, you pump it. I actually have the number one score for that too. Played that with my son and my wife a little bit. That's the only type of game my wife will play outside of pinball. I don't really know. I like the Battlefield game with the tank.
Yep.
But with the Vector and the way you play it, I don't know if I could play that all the time because kind of give you a headache. But I don't know if I really had a favorite game. I just it's nice to be able to just go from a game and I don't have to put a quarter in.
Yep.
And I can go try another game. So I'm still kind of working my way around. The pinball games look cool, but I'm horrible at pinball.
Yeah.
So, but I talked a lot about Brett with some of the machines he has and what he fixes and all that kind of stuff more on Friday. So, he had said that if we want to come up at some point again and do another podcast up there, maybe even do a live one with the crowd or something there when we actually have our cameras and stuff ready to go since because we recorded last week on my tablet.
Yep.
At my tablet here. It looks like a notebook, but this is my, I can get on the camera here. It's just it's a tablet, Samsung tablet. It's not an expensive one, but that's what I recorded on last week. And then the Bluetooth microphones I ordered, we couldn't use them, but I've tried them since then. They actually turn out pretty good. So that'll be helpful when we travel again.
Yep.
And they click on and then they have all the adapters. So that'll be a little more useful, I think, in the future. But we have, so in our studio here, we have, you guys won't be able to see this, but I can play something for me and Tim to watch here. I'm trying to use my finger here. So right here, up here is a TV that we can see in here. And I'm going to play the Fizzy Arcades commercial that I made for them, for me and Brett to watch. And I will cut it into the video here, but we're going to watch it live in the studio. I'm hoping to have it set up a little better. This TV is a Samsung TV, and it is difficult to stream to it, which I know seems weird, but they want you to pay for stuff. They won't just let you screen mirror, but I can screen mirror to YouTube. So let's just take a second here to watch our video. And just for you, Tim, this is the first time we can keep talking through the video because I'm going to cut the video in later. So they'll see what we see.
Yeah.
But we can still continue talking over it. And you guys are getting the technical side of this since this is new for us.
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to comment, I thought it was really cool. Their logo and stuff like that, I think is really cool, really spiffy. And they actually have really cool T-shirts up there with that logo on there. And I thought that was really fresh and neat.
Yeah, I wanted to buy one, but they didn't have my size. They have one. It's almost my size that I'm going to try next time I go up. But I told her I'd wait till a time when she's less busy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let me play this. So this is our Fizzy Arcade video. So I went through and did about a 3-minute video on every single machine in the place.
Yep.
And his video collection and his console stations. Kind of went around. I made this original song. It's just like all samples from like 8-bit video game emulators and synthesizers and stuff. Got a nice view of everything, and then kind of tried to give him a list of all the games. I tried to make it look like a VHS tape a little bit with like you can see all like the pops and all that stuff, all the games, and then we're gonna cut to the very end. The logo flies on the screen, flies off the screen, and it looks like an old TV that shuts off. Stop that. Now it's giving me a commercial. What the heck? We don't want that. All right, I shut that commercial off. So, yeah, I tried to make it look like an old VHS tape. It turned out pretty good. It didn't get 1 million views, but it got over 100. So that's successful. 3-minute video, and I don't know, I spent maybe an hour editing it and writing that little song for it, but it turned out all right. He seemed to be happy with it, and he shared it and got some more views. So that was kind of the highlight of last week. I do think the sit-down video part of the podcast turned out pretty good, but we could get the sound a little better, which if we would have had the microphones, and we could get a better quality video, but I think we did good with what we have. Content's good. If you just sit and listen to it instead of watching it, I mean, it sounds good. Otherwise, like, he goes through everything. He's a pretty interesting guy with his knowledge of all his video games and stuff, and at some point I'm going to work on just doing shorter videos with him so he can like talk about Space Invaders, like all the different games. It's kind of be a little mini thing. Like, since I have all this time invested in this podcast stuff, I'm actually bringing back my old podcast with Roller Derby, my Roller Bear podcast.
Sweet.
It's just going to turn into an interview podcast. So I'm going to be doing like how we're doing here, but with actual remote, and then might be doing possibly another 1 or 2 shows. I just kind of put it under my Roller Bear production thing because that's where all the stuff is saved. So there might be a podcast channel at some point. So,
well, sweet.
If you got an idea for a second one, we'll throw you in there and add to the channel.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's still pretty new and informal. My podcast was, I think I might have had 10 or 15 episodes, but it's had like 4 iterations. Where I had co-hosts and the name changed a couple times, but it worked out. A couple hundred people watched it. Nothing big. Never made any money with it. Kind of running out of stuff to talk about. So I figured I'd do interviews. Like with this one, at least we were broad enough that we could talk about whatever we want, because that's kind of the whole point. So
we're not limiting ourselves. But basically, you know how you said it might not have been the best production last week, but I did get even a couple comments from friends that they thought it was really interesting because they're both, are arcade geeks as well. And then even actually had someone reach out in Europe that I'm friends with, and they have watched that episode as well, and they really enjoyed it. And it's kind of fun, like, we talked about like the third space and stuff. With his friendship, like how we kind of like started bonding was like one time we were working together, and on his background of his computer, he had like Pac-Man on there. And I was like, oh, are you a fan of Pac-Man? And he's like, yeah. And that's how we like started this huge conversation, became great friends just over our shared bond of Pac-Man. Even though we live like thousands upon thousands of miles away from each other, our friendship was actually born from the love of Pac-Man.
Yeah, that's cool. I like Pac-Man too, but I'm just really bad at it.
Yeah, I'm not good at any games, but I enjoy playing them, like especially pinball. I know you said you love shooting games and stuff. I was always like more of like House of the Dead kind of fan with like the shooting games.
Yeah, I was just a fan of all of them. That's what I said. Like, Area 51 is probably my favorite one that he has there. But like, I really like Time Crisis, which I think we might have talked about that. That one's a lot bigger, and it's got a lot more mechanics to it. So that machine is still pretty expensive, and it's 15, 20 years newer than most of the other machines. So that one's probably pretty expensive. So that's something that he doesn't have now. But he said, maybe. But it's one of those machines where it's like, when you can buy a Pac-Man for $500 and Time Crisis is $4,000, more people are going to want to play the Pac-Man, so it's not really worth it.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, like, you were talking about like the maintenance and stuff of the machines. Like, I know he was struggling trying to get like 2 machines back up that had broken. You know, that's one thing you don't really think of, like, you know, preventative maintenance or maintenance on video games, like what you do with your car. You know, you got to change the oil, you got to do this. You don't really think about that with arcades, but you know, once they're getting played on and like beat on the buttons and stuff, I'm sure there's a lot of like replacement and you know, tuning up everything with the machines, arcades, and we'll definitely. I'd like to talk to Brett and kind of like get that aspect as well next time. Maybe we talk about how he maintains all his games, make sure they're working order, etc.
Yeah, well, it's like machines that old, like wires or capacitors, like they just wear out because who knows the last time those machines were actually on? Because like we did a video, well, in part of our podcast, Space Invaders, when we talked about within the hour it quit working, and it was just something with a loose wire or something in the monitor because it would flick on and off. But he got that fixed. But yeah, he did have Donkey Kong 3 broke and Missile Command broke. Yeah. And towards the end of the night, it's like tee off pinball. It didn't. The button quit working.
Yeah, I was trying to play that pinball golf one,
but that one kind of went back and forth. Like, so he's got to work on them. So I'm sure he's got to try to get that stuff. He might have had it fixed yesterday. Because this is Sunday, so we went Friday night. But yeah, he was really. We put it into the parking lot, and it was packed. Had to park in the entranceway a little bit. Like I parked off to the side because there was no parking, and my son met us up there, and he had to actually park in the road. Yep, it was really really packed, which is I guess is a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really dark there though. Like he has lights in the parking lot, but it's like there's no street lights because he's a little bit out of town, and it's pretty dark, and it was hard to see. So I don't know if lines would have helped in the parking lot, but people just kind of parked wherever. Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, I hope that they're busy, but that was like, I hope their parking lot gets to be a manageable point. Like maybe 5 less cars would have been better. Yeah, but I think there's people that pulled in and actually left because it was too busy.
Yeah, well, that's kind of interesting because I remember going up there on My House Cafe, and like you have being worse than that, like with the parking, but it never really deterred anyone, you know, from coming and having fun. And I definitely, you know, you should definitely go up there and check it out if you're a arcade fan and won't worry too much about the parking. Definitely go up there and support the business, you know, have fun. But yeah, it's a great place. You definitely get up there and check it out, especially I was kind of interested when he has like those food trucks coming up. Even just like maybe going up and trying out, like, you know, supporting the food trucks, checking out the food because I'm a huge foodie as well.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it won't be as busy in the parking lot as it was that first day. Yeah, but that's a good problem to have. Yeah, definitely. I was expecting it to be busy. I was honestly inside it's about as busy as I expected, but I didn't realize how many cars would be sitting in that parking lot. But it was like with the amount of people that were there was still. I didn't really have to, like, the only machine you really had to wait for is if you want to play, like, air hockey or the pool table. Yeah. Everything else kind of moved around pretty good. If you waited a couple of minutes, whoever was playing a game kind of moved on to the next game. I think not having to sit there and put quarters in kind of got rid of that whole, like, reserve thing. Everybody kind of played till they had their fill and then moved to the next machine because it didn't cost them anything. So I actually think that model works out pretty good.
Do you remember back in the day people would put their quarters up on the screen to like, hey, I got like the next 5 games or whatever?
Yeah, and with like removing that aspect, it seemed like I didn't notice anybody fighting over a game. Everybody just kind of waited their turn, but because no one was actually putting out more money, no one kind of got mad. Yeah, there was a lot of people waiting around the pool table and the air hockey table, but those take a while. You know, it takes a while to shoot a game of pool, so I guess that's to be expected anywhere. He's only got 1 pool table, which I don't know that it pays to have more than one. Yeah, not a pool hole, but air hockey goes pretty quick depending who's playing. But he was kind of worried about like people slamming and breaking things, so he's kind of glad he put it up front where he could actually watch which I think helped him a lot. Because them little kids and especially the teenagers are smashing that puck all over the place. But I think it turned out pretty good for him, and I think that he probably made a decent amount of money because you figure $15 per person, and that place was packed. Yep. And I know he's being pretty reasonable. If like it looked like a grandmother brought in a couple of kids, he kind of was not charging the grandmother if she was just to go sit off the side. So still trying to figure out the ins and outs of the business, but I think it's a pretty successful first weekend at least.
Yeah, highly successful, and definitely wanted to mention, because I know it has a huge following. All the Dance Dance Revolution games, the DDR games. He does have, a cabinet up there, and I saw a lot of people playing. But I know that it has like a huge, like, kind of cult following in terms of like tournaments and stuff like that. So I definitely want to mention to everybody that he has one up there, and definitely, if you're a DDR fan, go up there and support him.
Yeah, and that's one. There's always people ready to play. Like that never stopped all night. But no one was fighting over it. Everybody was just taking their turns. But I guess always the whole night I was there as people. But we were there for maybe an hour or so. Like if it wasn't so busy, might have stayed a little bit longer. But like we had the tour of the place the week before, so I was like, I'm just gonna kind of had to run to the store and do some stuff. But definitely was happy with how it turned out. It's kind of I wasn't nervous that it wasn't going to be busy, but I was like, regardless if he's my friend or not, I'm happy there's a new arcade because we haven't had one in our area in a long time. It was an actual arcade. It wasn't like claw machines and tickets.
Yeah, and you got to get out there and support, your local businesses and stuff like that, especially stuff you enjoy. You got to get out there and do that. Otherwise, with they don't have people showing up, they can't continue the business. So it's really important, no matter where you're at, like support your local businesses, especially things, that you're really excited about. You're like, hey, this is a new spot. You got to get out there, support them in any way you can.
Yep, and I think that's a good place for us to transition to our actual part of the week. So good time with Fizzies last week, but like I said, I posted earlier this week. So this episode is going to be about our podcast setup. So I had this big elaborate plan where I had everything that I was going to do. Like this stuff here, this is an old photo backdrop. It's still wrinkly because it's been rolled up in a ball and an old thing. It's not exactly high quality. And then on the sides, I don't think you can see on the camera, there's the shower curtains that I had originally posted. I decided to use this backdrop instead. This table here, which I'll put in a clip here, it's just a plain black table with some metal legs. It was like $20 on Amazon because I needed a table that was big enough but not so big. Like I have more room down here, but it's like I don't want to lose my whole basement to this. So I tried to, I don't know, we have maybe an 8 foot by 6 foot space here that actually folds up and gets put away. This backdrop and stuff's going to get changed. And I spent some time looking at doing some research on what kind of lighting we should have for podcasts, what this kind of standard is, which we semi have today. Like I have, I'll put a picture of the thing I have. It's a fill light. It's up top here. It's kind of on the top of my head and it's kind of on the side of Tim. That one I've had for a few years. That is actually recommended by a lot of podcasts, but I have the older version with this got one of those like fluorescent light bulbs, the twisty turning ones, but it's like
compact fluorescent.
It's a tall one. It's like this tall. I forget how many watts it is. It's super bright. Like I had it mounted right here, right on our faces, and it just like washed us out. I had my son sitting here yesterday but I got a different bulb for it, which is programmable color wise. I can change the temperature and do all that for like $10. It's a floodlight, so it'll be plenty bright enough, but we can change the color. And then it's not even shown up here. I have a backlight. I had it on the ceiling to kind of shine on here, but the original plan was we're just going to be one camera front view and one camera side view. But I'll go with the reason why we switched that when we talk cameras, but you could see that backlight. It kind of glowed behind the TV. So what's going to change for next week is there's going to be backlights on the side that shine up instead of ones that shine up, because that's just an LED strip light. It's just not bright enough. So I got some brighter ones to shine up. So that'll give us the color in the background, which is what a lot of the lighting does for the standard podcast. I'm not looking to reinvent that quite yet, because right now it's just we have to get to like an expected level of quality before we can try to improve it. I think the audio, that's what I'll go into next is, so these mics here, I got them. So do you know what Woot is? WOOT?
No, but can we call cut here?
Go ahead. It'll get cut later.
Yeah. The battery on the computer is about to die.
On the floor, here's a whiteboard. You see it down there? It's over here. Right straight down.
This one?
Yeah. It goes on by magnet. There you go. So that's one thing I hate about that MacBook is usually when you have a power cord, it just slides in. That one has a magnet, which constantly gets pulled out.
Okay.
So I'll cut that part out then. But
Sorry about that.
But I'm going to start right back over from the microphone talk. So technical difficulties. So back to where we were. So microphones. I got these microphones. Like I said, there's a store called Woot website. Okay. It would sell like overstocks and all kinds of weird stuff. Okay. And then they got bought by Amazon at some point.
Okay.
So you'll see like a lot of stuff on there is really discounted, either like packaging changes or new model comes out or just overstocks. Mm-hmm. So they claim these microphones cost $100. Mm-hmm. I got them for $16.
Yeah.
If you dig on Amazon, they're like $30-ish, give or take 50, depending on whether they're on sale or not. Yep. So I definitely got a good deal on them. I'm not as good as a deal as they're claiming.
Yep.
But they are USB, which I'm like, okay, no big deal. So they're USB-C output. So I bought USB-C to 3/4 or 3/8 inch jacks or 3.35 millimeter jacks, so I could plug them into my mixer. Well, they're USB-C powered, so I need to plug them into USB so they'll get powered. So they actually, I'm not going to press it here, but like this little knob here is volume adjustment. You press it and you get output headphone level, because you can actually put your headphones straight into the back of these, and it acts as an output for the computer. So like I actually get, like I can hear Tim through my microphone straight in here because of this, but you need to be plugged into USB for that. So it has a mute button, so I can it's got a mute button, but you can change the headphone volume through this. You can change the output volume, and you can change the mix volume for the person listening. Really cool. You can't hook them both up to the same computer through USB or USB hub, because I could get them to work, and then they would stop working, and then they would work. So I need to either get a USB interface or do what I did, and that's why we're set up this way this week. And we have two screens. Is I have him on my old MacBook, and I have me on my crappy DJ computer. So Tim is actually remoted into me right now with the way we're set up, but everything works good. It's just, it could be done way easier if I had a USB interface, which I'm having a hard time finding one that does what I want. That's not like $500. But besides that, I'm pretty happy with these microphones. They do everything I wanted to do. I just wish that I'm going to try one more thing with them, because I could do a USB-C to an XLR cable, and then I could turn on phantom power on my mixer. That might work, but I don't know. So that's my next experiment. I'm hoping that works, because we'll lose the output for our headphones, but we will be able to control everything and have it powered so we can record with one computer. That's the goal. We'll see if that works out. But I'm pretty happy with these microphones. They
look really spiffy. And just kind of going back to what you were talking about, the interface with all the computers, for those people who work in the office and have like meetings in your office, it's like a highly advanced like Zoom meeting or like Microsoft Teams meeting. Very sleek console look. The way the app looks, it looks great. All the lights and like the microphones. Again, it's like a Zoom call on steroids in a way, or Microsoft Office on steroids.
What's nice about the software is it gives me a lot of editing stuff on the back end. It does limit the amount of time I can record per week, because we have to pay to use the software. The free version only gives you 2 hours a month, which is, our first episode is longer than that. So I had to have a subscription, which I got to try out for this first month. I have this out here. So this is the microphone we got. It's a Bumblebee 2. It's made by Neat. Like I said, works pretty good. I think you can buy it for around $30 on Amazon right now. So if anybody's interested in that, these aren't paid sponsorships. This is just me trying to build a podcast studio on the least amount of money possible. The software is riverside.fm. A lot of people use it. It does some really cool stuff, which we're not really doing today. So I have my phone here. I could send a link to my phone and set my phone up on a tripod, and it will record. But you can also set it up with a function as a second camera or a third camera. So I could have your phone, my tablet, and we could have 5 cameras going at once here, and all of it will show up in here, and you can cut between them and do all that kind of fancy stuff. For I mean, I think that's $19 a month for the basic subscription. If you're looking for like a semi-professional, or if $20 a month isn't a big deal, this is good software to use, especially if you want to remote in. If I was just recording by myself, this would probably still work, but I don't know if I would want to go through the extra effort without all that other functionality. It's really not too useful in a single person podcast. It's not, I don't think it's the most ideal with the way we have it set up here, but for what we have to use this current time, I think this is a good setup. I would have liked to just had one camera with us both kind of sitting, and then a second camera with like an off view. But until I can get some kind of hub that can control all the, so for those of you who don't know, video, so an audio mixer, you can get it for $10. Plug whatever into it and mix your audio. Yeah. The second you get to video, it's like basically if you want something that's not knockoff Chinese brand, you're looking at least $300 to get started with some professional level. I can go into more with, that's what we use at the radio station. It's kind of like the base level. It's Blackmagic. It's ATEM Blackmagic. It has 4-channel HDMI inputs. It has the outputs. It has the audio, and it is about this big. You can do all your video. So when I would do stuff for the radio station, I do football game broadcasts live, or I was doing the Talk to Santa show live, which is a studio. Yeah. But that one has I have 3 cameras on that one. So the in-studio setup that I use for the Talk to Santa show so the Talk to Santa show, for those who don't understand, there's the lady that hosts it. She's been hosting it for quite a while. The show's been on for over 80 years, but the video part's only a couple years old. But she's the host. She sits there. A kid comes up and sits in another chair, and then they have a magic radio where Santa talks to the kids. So the actual show, the talking part of the show that's been there forever, that stays the same. But my part of it was taking the video and setting up a stage and all that kind of stuff. So my first year doing it was last year, and we found this really awesome chair in someone's office, and we took it, and then they weren't happy that we took it, so they took it back. So we had one episode. So we had to find an office chair, and we threw a blanket over it. And the radio station obviously has microphones and stuff, and they had a microphone and a microphone stand that kept falling over, so we had to rig it so it wouldn't fall over. They had a Christmas tree and an office table, and I'm like, we could do better next year, which is this year. So this year, there's a few other people down there that kind of took charge more a little bit. I had some input on it, and they kind of took my ideas. And, they had donated. They got lent some furniture from a local secondhand furniture store. Yep. That I think they donate it to people in need. So it's secondhand furniture that's good quality, it's clean and all that. So they got 2 chairs. We got the Christmas tree set up, and then on a table we have it's an old radio that's what Santa talks to. That's what the kids actually hear Santa through that. Yeah. And then there's microphones set up. So I got the microphone set up with better stuff this year. And we wired all together. We have 3 cameras. The original one was one on the host, one on the kid, and I kind of switched it after an episode 2 where it was a wide shot of both of them at the same time. And then there was an even wider shot that got the studio, because I got to the point where I was like, let's just put we'll do 4 or 5 kids in an hour. Yep. So there's a green room downstairs where they make hot cocoa and like do crafts and stuff. But sometimes when there's families, we throw them in the office together. So I made that camera so I could see the kids sitting on the floor watching the kid and doing all that. And then I have a third camera that shoots just the radio. Yep. And I'm like, okay, so every time I cut to the radio, the sound comes out. The sound for me is I have all the sound piped into me, so I'm not getting sound from the cameras. I'm getting sound from the station. But every time I cut to the radio, nothing's happening. So I made I got glass ornaments, and I got a bunch of LEDs and stuff in them, and I rigged up a sound sensor and a bunch of other stuff. And I kind of put them in front. So when Santa talked, the bulbs changed color. So sweet. I wanted to do it so it would like kind of like how Knight Rider was, like it would talk, but that would have cost too much money. I just wired up with stuff I had. I spent $3 on bulbs, and they changed color, and they depend on when Santa talks. So I think that added another visual element. But those cameras all go into that one switcher, and I can I'm live editing this because it's going out live. It's
Yeah.
live broadcast. It's live on the radio. It's live on YouTube, and then it's on there recorded. But that mixer, even a simple mixer with 3 cameras, is $300. And there's not a cheap Chinese knockoff will save you like $20-$30. So it's like that's a big jump for starting out. And I keep watching all these like starting out like podcast on a budget videos, and I'm like,
Yeah.
your budget's $2,000. I'm like, who has $2,000 to spend on something that they don't know that it's gonna?
Yeah. Well, that goes back to like even our setup here and whatnot. I think you and I both, with all like our hobbies, obsessions, compulsions, what we do, we really embrace the DIY spirit. Do it yourself. Not worried about like budgets. High budgets preventing us from doing anything. We try to find like a cheaper way or build it, make it ourselves. Mod it ourselves. So. That's definitely one thing, not to discourage anybody with like any hobby or project, but, you can definitely go out there and do your research to find ways to do things cheaper, save yourself some money, and then also have the satisfaction like, hey, I put this together myself. Basically with your setup here, this wasn't any like prepackaged anything. You took different components and you put it together, and, it's working really well. But again, you and I both embrace that DIY spirit, and and anything pretty much we talk about, it's going to be that like we're trying to do it ourselves, not like farming out to anyone else, or like, hey, you buy it like prepackaged. Of course, you can't make the microphone, but then again, I guess you could make a microphone. Like a simple
I could
microphone.
make a microphone, but it's like, it wouldn't be as good as a cheap microphone.
Yeah.
Like I said, even like I was just looking there, like these arms. One of these is a microphone arm, and one of them was a light arm.
Yeah.
So neither one had right size for these type of microphones, so I needed to make adapters. So I 3D printed adapters. I have an old one that I pulled off here, but like this is all rigged together. Like our light on the ceiling is, I got a screw in the ceiling, and I took the floodlight or the fill light and removed it had a stand, but I removed the stand and I mounted it to the ceiling. These are held up with electrical tape and nails.
Yeah.
This TV it's mounted to a 2x4. It's mounted to the ceiling joists. Instead of, this is behind here is cement block wall. This is in my basement. So it's all really rigged together.
Yeah.
This is truly a budget podcast because the only thing here now, laptops are expensive, but I assume you're going to have a laptop or a tablet. So minus that part of it, these were $16. The cameras that were each using, they're 4K, they're webcams. They have a ring light, which you can change the color on, but they were $20 a piece. They claim 4K, but right now we're at 720 because that's what I can do with what we have on Riverside right now.
Yep.
But that's really the only things I actually bought that we're using. I had bought some stuff that was good. I bought headphone amplifier, which is about $10.
Yeah.
But with these microphones and stuff, we don't need headphone amplifier anymore. We can control our own volume. So that was unneeded. I also bought a couple other wires and adapters, but functionally right now, the only thing I bought was the microphones and the cameras. The light I had. So if you had to start a podcast, your bare bones with one person, you're going to want a microphone. Like I said, I would recommend this, especially if you're one person, because it's really good for one person if you're plugging into a laptop or a tablet. And these cameras are fine. You can get better cameras. You can use your phone or your tablet. And you just need to do all that at once. Like how we had it set up with the video last week where we're all three sitting down and we're recording. It was my tablet was set up on a stand, pointed at us. I have the wireless Bluetooth ones now, but I had they were clip-on microphones, but they're wired. There's like a 30-foot wire on them.
Yeah.
I actually sat them on the table, and because I only have two, so I sat them on the table, and then we were all recorded them. And I also recorded on my phone, but I didn't need to use my phone recording. Everything I got was straight from my tablet. So that part of the video, I thought turned out pretty good considering it had a tablet, and I think those microphones were $10.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might have to take a break because my furnace just kicked on. So I'm going to pause this for 1 minute until my furnace shuts off because I don't think we're going to be able to record while that's going.
And we're back.
Yeah, my furnace kicked on, and I was afraid it was going to pick up too much on the microphone, so we took a break there. And I don't think we actually remember what we were talking about, but we talked about the cameras. We talked about the microphones.
Yep.
Right now, that's the main thing is if you were going to start a podcast, you want some sort of microphone. You can use your phone camera, whatever, with this Riverside FM software. Like I said, none of this is paid. I was just trying to do this as cheap as possible.
Yep.
The free part of Riverside is limited to 2 hours a month, and it has some function restrictions. But with this software, so it'll automatically transcribe this for us, and we can edit the transcription, and it will edit the video based on the transcription. And it actually takes it knows when you're talking versus what I'm talking, because when you're watching this, it's all mixed together, but this is recording 2 separate videos and 2 separate audio tracks. And then I'll add the other tracks in later. But you can auto mute people. Like when I talk, you're muted. So I'm not getting your background noise. I'm not getting echo, and it does it back and forth. And it does some other AI functions. So it's pretty good to start out with. Like I said, the free version is limited to 2 hours a month, which is, I don't know how you can have a podcast limited to 2 hours a month.
Because if someone wants to try it, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, for free, if you want to try it for a week or two, if you like it, $20 a month, I don't think is unreasonable for a podcast host. As far as uploading this, the video portion, as of right now, is going straight to YouTube once it's edited. That's our channel on it. That's where I'm doing video, and I'm not doing video anywhere else right now. At this very moment, the audio portion is just going just to Spotify, because I have a Spotify creator page, because I have albums released on Spotify. I have multiple podcasts on Spotify. So I already have that set up. I will set that up with an RSS feed where you could put it in iTunes or wherever else. I have to get around to doing that. I haven't had time. So eventually we'll be able to do that. But right now you can subscribe on Spotify and listen on there, it's free to listen to. You just have to either have the app or you can use their website. So that's the 2 places we are right now. But I also share everything to our Facebook page with our 33 followers.
Yeah.
Today, which that doesn't sound like much, but my roller derby page, which I've had for I don't know how many years. I've had podcasts, I do live shows, I have like less than 200 followers. Yeah. Unless you pay for advertising or you can constantly put stuff out, it's hard to gain a lot of followers quick. But we gained 33 followers after the first episode. I'm happy with that. That's more than I've got for any other podcast early on. I'm not a big fan of sharing everything like crazy everywhere. I kind of I don't want to bug people too much, but Tim doesn't share as much as stuff like this, I'm guessing, and most of the followers came from his side, and then my normal people followed. But so we have, if you need to start a podcast on a budget, do not watch YouTube videos on how to do it, because they're like, buy this microphone. It's only $300. This Shure microphone. Yeah. Is it good? Yes. Is it 10 times more valuable than this for a beginner? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, your phone microphone sounds like crap compared to those, but most people aren't going to be able to even tell the difference. So don't go crazy. I mean, that's my whole thing. Like all the hobbies, and when you're starting something, you don't want to spend millions of dollars on it. But I know that, during our break, Tim's shopping for chairs because these chairs suck. I think that's going to be our next thing to do. This desk is purely for function. It's plain black. I'll put a video or a screenshot of the Amazon link for it. Yeah, it's just it was meant to hold my laptop and my mixer, and we hooked the booms to it. And like I said, these booms I think they were less than $20 when I bought them, and one of them came with a light, one of them came with a microphone hooked up. You don't need this. These microphones actually came with a desk stand, which I didn't want to use because originally you didn't have to sit at the desk with the original setup. But if we were to do a long table back and forth, which we might end up doing, maybe we'll sit them down. But it's nice to be able to adjust all this. But so what questions or what do you think we could do to improve this, or what's your next plans for this? I know you've been left this part up to me because this is more my experience.
Yeah. No, but there's one thing, like you were saying, hey, let's start a podcast and buy this $300 microphone. That's the thing. Sometimes a lot of people on YouTube, they're saying, affiliate links, they're going to make some money from things. Just like anything, Ryan puts up. We're not making money from anything. We're just trying to help anyone out there. And in anything we do right now, we're not, putting things up there that they're trying to make any money for. Again, just trying to support that DIY spirit. And encouraging people to like don't have barriers to what you want to do. Just get out there and do it. Like some way you don't have to spend a ton of money with it.
Yeah. So like even like everybody says you need lights, you need a fill light. So a fill light's going to be on the front or off to the side, but it's more to the front corner, pushing light on you from the front, or you want a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other recommended light is a hair light, which for me, there's one above me, which honestly is probably too high up to actually hit us because it's getting washed out.
Yep.
To light the top of your head and do some contrast. And then ideally, there'd be some space behind us with the colored lights to have something in the background, which that'll be here next week.
Yeah, but it looks good with the light, I have to say.
Yeah, I dyed my hair the other week. It's not that I don't mind having gray hair. I just was like, I always had like green hair, blue hair, mohawk. I just was bored with the gray hair, so I dyed it with what I thought was the proper color, and it was way, way, way too dark. So this is the color that it turned to after I used stripper on it. So this is kind of more like my natural color was. It's more, it's a little more gray normally, but I was just bored with it, so I just figured I'd try that. I'm getting too old to be dyeing it green anymore. Yeah, I don't think I need to deal with that at my age, but I'm known for the gray. I've had gray for a lot younger. I'm not that old. I'm only 43, but I mean mostly gray for a couple of years now. But yeah, I dyed it. It does make it look nice and shiny though.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I've had gray hair too. I was just like you when I was younger, dyeing it blonde, putting blonde streaks in it, different colors. But now that it just kind of turned gray, and I've just left it be, just always kind of keep it short, nothing too fancy, nothing too fussy. We got to worry about it in the morning.
I had long hair when I was a teenager, so I'm just going to grow long hair again. Like I still have most of my hair. Like it goes back a little bit here. I'm not bald really. I mean, it's definitely not as thick as it was when I was younger, but I figured I'd go long hair one more time, and I'm going for the big beard. I pretty much always had some sort of beard ever since probably high school.
Yeah.
So I have a thing usually I know like the black people have it a lot where the hair grows out and then grows back in because it's curly. And like in the army, some of them are allowed to grow a beard because I kind of have that same thing. If I shave within like the day, my hair grows out and then grows back into my skin. So I kind of have to have something or have to shave 3 times a day. So I'm like, I'll just keep growing the beard. It like grows out and then just kind of curls back in and then just gets really irritated. So I know I forget what movie I seen, but yeah, it was black guys in the army and they're like, why can't they have a beard? And then they talked about it. So like that's an uncommon thing for a lot of people, but it's people that have curly hairs have that happen a lot, which my hair is actually pretty curly when it's short, but not my head hair is straight as can be, but my beard hair is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I used to have like a goatee, stuff up here and all that. But since I joined the fire service, like we can't have any facial hair. I mean, you'll see guys with like mustaches like this and stuff, but like with the mask for their SCBAs to get that close fit, we can't really have any facial hair. So after that, I just kind of keeping it shaved, but never had anything like big as expansive as Ryan does over there.
I never grow a mustache at one point, but I can't grow a very good mustache. Like my upper lip is not like Sam Elliott's is like 3 inches long, so he can get a nice mustache. Mine's like, it's not super thin, but it's just not enough to grow just a good. I don't think I can grow a good mustache. There's definitely a lot of hair there. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So I just keep going with the beard. I've been doing full beard for a couple of years, but I've always just at least had the goatee part of it. But
I got a random question for you. Have you ever competed in a beard contest or a mustache
sort
contest?
of. So we had the 250th anniversary of Sunbury. The Sunbury Masons, which I'm a Mason, but I'm a member in Northumberland, which is the next town over for those people who aren't here. That's where my family's members, but I'm included with the Sunbury stuff if I want to show up. But they had a beard competition. It had 3 parts. So there was one part that was the best looking, which I didn't win that. The guy that won that he's a relation to me. So he's my wife's cousin's father-in-law. He's a Mason, nice guy down, but he's like in his 70s. He's a really nice guy. He helps me. He won because not that mine looked better than his, but like he won just kind of as a moment of respect. Because the last time I did this it was in the 70s, so it's been 50 years. So then the second one, the one that I won, was most absorbent beard.
How
So-
can you judge that?
We went to it was the Moose, and I think we had a bowl or something that we put our beard in, and then we put our beard in some water, and then we had a cup that we and I won that. Absorbent beard. And there was a third one too, I thought. I can't remember the third one is, but so I have the most absorbent beard in Sunbury for the next 50 years until we have the next competition.
Wow.
So that's something I'm proud of or not, but at least I won something.
You need to make a T-shirt or something like that.
I actually have a T-shirt from the contest, I think. But yeah, that was they did like it's something with Barber or something. But it's like an old thing. Like the last time they did it was the bicentennial.
Yep.
Like we did it, the bicentennial for Sunbury, not for the bicentennial for the country or the. This is 250. Every 50 years they do it. So the last one I wasn't even born for. So that's the only beard competition I've won. My beard is like, I don't know. It's not overly great. That's not overly groomed or nothing. I wash it. I brush it a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And it's like a mixture of gray and brown still in it. There's like some black, but like the sides are mostly gray now. But it's still straggly looking. I never could. Like those guys that like have it perfectly. I'm like, I can't ever get to it. Like, I don't know what they do. I try to watch videos, but yeah, it just ain't happening.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of companies out there that actually have like the grooming products and stuff.
Yeah,
like I know.
I don't like beard oil. I'm like, I don't know how people can stand that because like then every time I'm scratching my face, my hands are oily, and when I'm at work, like I do small things at work, and it's like everything gets greasy and oily from that, so I can't use that stuff. But if I don't use, I have beard shampoo, which I guess has some sort of stuff in it. And if I don't use that, I have eczema and I'm diabetic. So you know how when you're diabetic, your skin gets dry. Like I get that all over my face. So if I don't use that shampoo, but besides that, I don't really do too much. I have like a brush where I just brush it. So no matter what I do, when I wake up in the morning, it's like curled and pushed to one side. So I have to wash it every day, no matter what. Otherwise, it just looks silly. But I never think it looks that big in the mirror. But then I see pictures, like even watching now in my video, it's like I look in the mirror, it's like this long. But like when I see myself in pictures, it's like gigantic.
Yeah,
Even my hair is like I had a mohawk, and then I'm just not gonna cut my hair anymore. So then the mohawk turned into long hair. So the sides of my hair were shaved, but now they're like like that long. But the hair on the top of my head is like super long. So I don't know what I'm doing with anything yet.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. One of my brother's friends, actually, he was great friends with him, like two brothers in like high school. But one of the brothers actually formed like a beard product company, and they gotten like pretty big. You know, they've actually like sponsored some like stages at like ska festivals and stuff like that. But it's kind of really neat, like I guess with the resurgence of beards and stuff like that. You know, you see all these different companies coming out for products for it. You know, doing all these different industries and competitions, like you said, or just like in general. I guess it's more like acceptable in society because when I was young, sometimes people were like, "Oh, beard, like scary person." It's not like that anymore.
Yeah, I hate when I become part of a trend where I didn't mean to. Like I've been growing a beard as long as I could grow a beard, and it's like I don't want to be like seen as like one of those hipster guys that's growing a beard. So you grow a beard, but you can't change your tire. Like I can do all that stuff, but I'm like I grew a beard because. I mean, I explained earlier why I grow a beard, but it's like I'm not doing it for fashion necessarily.
Yeah,
I like before, like I have, you can see it on the video there. Like I have my ears are stretched to 1 inch, and I did that like in the mid '90s. Look at my hair, jeez.
I was just about to say.
If I did that back, I stretched them back in the mid '90s, but I got to a point probably I say 10 or 15 years ago where there was like. I forget where I was at the mall or somewhere because you used to only be able to buy that kind of tray like at Hot Topics or Spencer's used to sell it. And there was like a 12-year-old girl who had bigger ear holes than me. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm like, this has become a trend. And I'm like, I'm not looking to get bigger or anything else, but I'm like, I just got to take them out because I don't want to be part of this trend, And I left them out for a couple of years, but then they look like crap because they were so big, they're not going to close up. So I just had to start wearing them again. I try not to take part in the trends. I try to make my own, like my glasses. You guys can see they're all these bright colors. I get at least once a day, multiple times a day, someone compliments them. They're like $6 on their prescription, but like I don't even know if they're men's or women's. They're extra wide frames that fit my head, but they're just from some company. Like it wasn't from Zinni, but like everybody knows about Zinni. It's one of those. But like, that's the thing that everybody notices right now. They don't even notice the crazy beard and stuff. It's just my crazy glasses, or I started wearing Hawaiian print hats and stuff like that. I figured if I'm going to be crazy looking, I might as well just go with it. I think
it was funny when I first met you with like those glasses there. I thought there was like something with like Autism Speaks, and like great foundation, great message and whatnot. And I was like, oh, where'd you get your glasses? But I thought it was something like that, when I first saw them.
Yeah, I just got a brother. So I had these ones with my old prescription. They were black, but the insides and the bottoms were like lime green. So I like those. They're pretty much the exact same size and shape, but I didn't have them anymore. So I'm like, I wanted to buy something with my new prescription, and this is the best that I found. Yeah. Like, I had like regular like aviator ones that I had bought, and I looked like a serial killer or something. So, and my wife didn't like them. She told me to see if I could find the other ones again. But yeah,
this is a fighter pilot. You didn't look like a fighter pilot at all with your aviators.
Not with the crazy beard and stuff. I looked like I was a serial killer. Kind of like the Jeffrey Dahmer ones. They weren't quite exactly the same as kind of vibe that I gave off, but I got rid of. I don't get rid of them. I usually don't wear my glasses except for when I don't wear them around the house. Usually I'm wearing them here because I got to read and see stuff, but I don't usually wear them around the house too often. I usually my eyes aren't that bad. I think they're like 20/25, but with what I do at work is very small, so it's easier if I do. As I get older, driving. Like, I got the stigmatism, and I wear them when I drive and stuff, but I don't necessarily need them. I can still see it, just a little bit better if I don't. Like, my wife's eyes are horrible, my son's eyes are horrible. Mine are not that bad though. But I just figured if I'm gonna have to wear them, I might as well just. So I've got a million tattoos and everything, and I'm a foot taller and a foot wider than everybody else, so I'm already standing out. I might as well have bright colored glasses.
Yeah, it was funny. The other night we were together, and you were talking about to us that you were the trophy husband. I thought that was like such a hilarious joke and whatnot.
Yeah. So for those who don't know me, I'm 6'2", and I'm about 280 pounds, but I'm also like width-wise, my shoulders are super wide compared to everybody else, and my wife is 5'4", like. I weigh 3 times as much as her. So I'm a trophy husband. Obviously, she got first place. Look how big the trophy is. I have a trophy husband shirt. I should probably wear it more often, but that's what I always tell everybody. Like, obviously, you got first place. Look how big your trophy is.
Yeah.
But I think it might be the other way around, but
definitely. But talking about like body piercings and stuff like that, like when I was in college, like I'd gotten like my nipples pierced, and then like later, even before that, like I had like my ear cartilage pierced, and then like later on, just for like a goof, one time with a friend, got my like tongue pierced. So I had like all these piercings and stuff, and they were like in for like the longest time. But then like when I lost my hearing in my left ear, totally went deaf from a bad ear infection when the auditory nerve was killed, and I had to go get an MRI. And I remember just like showing up to the MRI a few minutes before my appointment, and I was like, "Oh shoot, these aren't going to work in the MRI machine." So I remember my wife and I trying to like take them all out as fast as possible, and it was just like a panic moment. But then like after that appointment, I just never put them back in because I thought, hey, I might have another MRI. But just after a while, just kind of pass, let everything heal up, and this was done with it.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of stuff pierced back then, and when I worked I didn't like work. I was like, when you work at a tattoo shop, you're an apprentice. You hang out, you learn stuff, you don't get paid. But when I was starting to work at my friends, I would do piercings and stuff, and a lot of times you cycle through people in those places because you get people that want to do it. They come out for a few months, it works out or it doesn't work out. So I was there, I wanted to tattoo, but he's like, you do piercings first because you can't walk into a tattoo job and just be a tattoo artist and make money right away. You have to establish yourself. So part of my friend's business was like, oh, you learn to pierce. Yep. You take walk-in piercings until you're established. Yep. So I had a bunch of piercings of weird things because the cost of the piercing is like nothing. And when you need to do it, you just do it to people in the shop. So I forget, I traded a belly button piercing for, I think, another belly button piercing. So I got my belly button pierced. It was in there for 10 minutes. I took it out. I still had scar there for forever though. and I've had my septum pierced twice. Once it was just really crooked because I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I used to box, and I broke my nose a bunch of times unofficially because but my nose holes are like, I have a deviated septum, so I can't have my septum pierced and have it be even. So I had it pierced. It was regular size. It looked horrible. Pulled it out, and then I had my friend do it again. Another friend do it. One that was a little more experienced, and I got pierced straight at 8 gauge. Which, for those of you who don't know, that's pretty sizable. Like, I have a hole in my nose. Still not even because my nose is just so messed up. But I had, for a period of time, I had like an earplug. I had an 8 gauge nose. You couldn't see it from the outside, but it was in there. But it was like rubber band on each side. When I was back high school, a little after high school, I had 3 eyebrow rings ripped out because back in the 90s, it wasn't trashy to have your eyebrows pierced. Like, now, if I see you with your eyebrows pierced now, I mean, I'm not talking like a person that's got 80 piercings. I'm talking like just the eyebrow pierced. I think it looks super trashy now. But back then, no. Like, if you've got your nose pierced and the eyebrow is part of it, okay, I don't think you're trashy. But when you just got an eyebrow and nothing else, I'm like, are you on meth? It's kind of like nowadays. It used to not be as bad as that, but back then I had one where my mom was helping me do my jewelry or something. Somebody was helping me, and then I sneezed or they sneezed and it got pulled out. And then I was a different time. I had a hat and someone pushed the bill of my hat down and it popped it out. And then I had once where I got caught on my pillow and I rolled and it pulled it off.
Yikes.
Like, my ears right now, they're 1 inch on the bottom holes, but I have a second hole in both of them that were both at 00 at once, which is 10 millimeters. So I had a 25 millimeter and a 10 millimeter on each ear. I've had my lip a bunch. Like, I had like a labrae back in the 90s, but I kept banging the inside. And I had my lips pierced a bunch. I used to pierce myself a lot, but now all I have is my ears, and that's just because I can't get rid of them. I need surgery to close them up at this point because we're talking, it's like 30 years they've been stretched out. And I got it pierced at the mall at Piercing Pagoda originally, so they weren't stretched out at, starting at 8 gauge. They were stretched out with like mall piercing. So
yeah, it's so funny because you mentioned like 10 millimeter, like it's not a big deal. Like 10 millimeter is like 0.4 of an inch. It's almost half an inch. So it's not, you may think, 10 millimeter, not a big deal. Trust me, 10 millimeter is big.
Well, that's the reason I got rid of the second holes, is because, those you don't know, when you have these plugs, most of them, you can get ones with rubber bands, but like the ones I buy are, the inside part is, I buy 1 inch or 25 millimeter, which they're not it's an inch is 25.4 millimeters, but none of them are exact to begin with, but like the inside part is, and they're flared and they're wider on the back side and the front side, so it'll stay and it won't pop out. But my holes are close enough together that the flares would touch and it would push the holes apart. So I had to take out the second pair, but they're still there. I haven't worn anything in a lot of years, but I can still stick a Q-tip through them.
Oh, wow.
Even though I haven't had them pierced in years. That's the second hole is still there full size, but I don't remember what else I had pierced. I haven't had a lot of stuff pierced in a long time. I'm not really into piercings. I like to have the septum, but I just, because my nose is so messed up, I can't. I did have my nostril pierced at one point, but it was, I ran for mayor. I took it out because I thought it was unprofessional. I wasn't really running for mayor. I was helping my friend, but like, I need to look more professional.
Yeah. You talked about like your first piercing was like at like the mall or something. Maybe you can go into specifics. But I just remember the first time I got pierced, it was just like a total goof. My friends and I, we were in college, and during the summer we went down to Ocean City, Maryland, and spent the week. And I got my left ear cartilage on the top there, like pierced right there, like on the boardwalk from some like cheesy shop, with those like guns that you should never really like pierce stuff with.
That's how mine was pierced too. Mine was just at the mall. Like a Piercing Pagoda. Like, back in the 90s, boys would only get their left ear on one side pierced, because if you got it on this side, that meant you were gay. Yeah, that's what it meant back then. But if you had 2 on this side and 1 on this side, then you weren't gay anymore. So that second one on this side meant you're not. I have no idea who came up with that, but like 12-year-old boys, that's what the rule was. So I had 1 on this side for a couple of years, and then I got a second one on this side, and then 1 on this side. So then I didn't have the gay tag, which I don't care. 12-year-old me didn't want his 12-year-old friends making fun of him. I don't remember the logic behind that. But yeah, if you didn't have that, you got made fun of. So I had the 3 holes, and they were all just the gun with it, like just pushed it through a year.
Yep.
And then eventually I got this second hole on this side. I got the second hole on this side. The top one, I think I got that pierced straight with 8 gauge to match the top one on this side. And then I stretched the 8 gauge out to 00. But the 3 holes started out with a piercing gun.
Yep.
So the holes themselves look horrible because like I stretched them in the 90s. So I couldn't go to Hot Topics and buy like the tapers and stuff. Like you couldn't find anything past 00, which is 10 millimeters. That was like the biggest jewelry you could find. So once you got to that point, you were screwed. You had to make your own jewelry, or you had to get it custom made. So I just started making my own. I'd go to like Lowe's and buy dowel rods and sand them to my size. But I stretched them out with. I started using a pen, like a Bic pen, the white ones.
Yeah.
And then it got to be where I would take one pen and shove another pen inside the other pen to make it bigger. Yeah. And then it became a big thing with tape, and you tape with tape. But then I started using weight, so I would use. I have 00, so 10 millimeter. They're hoops, and they are heavy. Yeah, you put those in your ears, and they just weigh you down. And I started using padlocks, but my ears were not stretched right at all. Yeah, like blowouts and everything. But these kids' days don't know the pain of like, oh, it shouldn't hurt at all. I'm like, phew. I was bleeding all over the place and everything else. Because I mean, didn't know any better back then. You just did whatever. I don't know why. I originally started stretching because I worked at. Well, sort of like your MRI thing. I worked at Haas's, and I wasn't allowed to wear jewelry. Yeah. So I would take my regular earring, as I had, 90s. I had a hoop earring, and I took it out for work. Well, then it got tight, so I'm like, all right. So Sunday, I only work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Monday morning, Sunday night, two earrings went in instead of one. And then a third one started going, and then a fourth one started going. And I'm like, well, heck, now I'm already 4 gauge. So then the plug started going, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But yeah, that was back like 96 or so. Yeah, so they've been there forever. It makes me feel really old because that was 30 years ago. But that's a weird thing. I'm not too much into piercing. Like even tattoos, I have a lot of tattoos, and I haven't paid for a tattoo really in a lot of years because, like my friend's shop, if you helped out an apprentice when he was coming up, like they almost, you're guaranteed for life that you're definitely getting some kind of deal from them. Yep. And I've just made friends with a lot of them. So a lot of what I have was from apprentices coming up or people that were apprentices that are established now that are just like, as a thank you, would give me stuff. But nothing I have is finished. Yeah. I have like my chest, my stomach. I did a bunch myself. Like my stomach, it used to have this big skull on it. Mm-hmm. And I got it. Now it's got an octopus with 9 legs. It's 9 legs because it's like the top part of my chest has a shield with my initials on it. Well, not my initials, my family initials. And then I have a battle axe on one side and a warhammer on the other side. So it has 9 legs for the 9 realms. It's a Viking thing. It's just not finished. It's an outline, but it's huge. It's like that big around and that tall. And my friend started helping me with that. It's still not finished. I got a Betty White tattoo on my leg. I got Stan Lee. So I got the Stan Lee. My friend wanted to do a Stan Lee tattoo when Stan Lee died. I'm like, well, I'll do it. Because usually all my tattoos I drew myself. Yeah. So I'm like, I'll let you do that. And I'm like, when he finished, I'm like, when Betty White dies, you can do Betty White one. So he did Betty White one in the front. That one's not finished, but it's there. But I was getting tattoos so often, I didn't remember I was getting them. But piercings, not so much anymore.
Yeah, I have 0 tattoos. But also, what you're even talking about piercing the ears, like I never got my earlobes pierced because like they're attached and stuff like that. Like it doesn't have that curve in there.
Mine are attached too, but mine are stretched so long it looks like they're not. Like you can actually, I'll pull up this side. Yeah, my earlobes are attached. I don't have detached ones, but because they're so stretched out, it looks like they hang down, but they actually don't. They're attached. I never even realized that. Like when science class one year, we were talking about biology, they're like, they said that's a recessive thing. Like, oh, I have that. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. But that's why I never got like pierced there. And then like with tattoos, I've always come up like the greatest ideas for tattoos. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to get that tattooed. And it's like, oh, wait, I wanted to do something else with that money. So I just never really got them. Well, not that I'm against them. I'm totally open for one. If anyone wants to like tattoo me, we can maybe make an episode of that. Tim gets his first tattoo, but otherwise.
I could arrange that. I know some people. Well, your wife has, I think she might have more tattoos than me, but if she doesn't, she's pretty close probably.
Nope. My wife does have a lot of tattoos. She's a huge fan of like artists and whatnot. Ink Master. She's even gotten some tattoos from people there. She loves them. I love them on her and stuff like that. It's just like I'm not opposed to them. Just like I said, like my thing, my focus has always changed. Like, oh, I'm definitely gonna get this tattooed, and then like something else comes up.
I had to, like, there was for a long time I had to pay full price for them, but then when I became friends with everybody, kept getting discounted or almost free, if not free, from a lot of people. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have as many, because I can't see spending the money on them, because I lived in that environment so long that it's not like I know when people say, "Oh, I need to get another," but I was living it so much, like it's kind of the effect of it wore off on me. I'm not like, I don't go crazy about getting a tattoo every week now like I used to.
Yeah,
but if I had to pay full price for them, I would probably have as many. I would probably do more myself, because there's a lot of my arm and my leg and even my stomach that I did myself, because I have a tattoo machine, I have everything. Yeah, there was a point in time where like I needed to spend more time focusing on that as a job, but that's the same time my wife wanted to start roller derby. So it was like, and we had 2 kids that were in elementary school, so it was like, one of us can't do this. Yeah, I was kind of starting that path, and I was working like 10 hours a day in my 9 to 5, 10 hours at my 9 to 5 job, and then I was working till I was going to the tattoo shop all night every night to try to like establish myself a little bit, but I just never really made any money or got anywhere, and it would have been a while before I would have. That's just the way it works, which I understand. A lot of places, like, you pay to be a tattoo apprentice, but it was my friend, and it was like, I'm an apprentice one day, and then the next day I never got established in it, but I was there every day helping out and doing stuff, a lot of side stuff around the shop and fixing things. But just, she wanted to do roller derby. I'm like, you know what? This is going to take me forever. I'll figure it out someday. Yeah. But I spend so much time around it, like, I don't get excited about getting them anymore. I haven't got, like, the last one I think I got was the Betty White one. That's when Betty White died, which was a couple of years ago.
I actually applied to be Ink Master, like the human canvases, a couple times, and I always like made it like, hey, I've never had a tattoo. You can tattoo anything on me. You know, thought that might be like an appeal. But then you see like on the show, all those people like puss out and like quit and stuff like that. The artists get screwed, so probably never really had much of a chance.
No, well, I had a friend who was trying to get on that show, and honestly, I didn't think that he was going to make it on the show, but I helped him do his audition video. I went down to his shop and I cut it and filmed it all and put it together for him, because he had to do, a small biography in like 2 minutes. And I did that for him. That was one of my first video projects a couple years back. I don't think anything came of it, because he definitely wasn't on the show. And I don't know that he should even have applied for the show, but he was my friend. I figured I'd help him out. Didn't hurt me anything. I had everything. But I don't really, most of my tattoos are stuff that I drew myself. So it's just it's my own stuff. So if you don't like them, well, then you just don't like my art, which is perfectly fine. But like having them all mean something and all that, like that, like I couldn't even tell you everything I have. I couldn't even tell you how many skulls I have tattooed on me. Because I have so many. But just random stuff that I don't. Like I have this one here. Let's see if I can put my arm up. This angel here. It's just hard to see on the camera. I got that done at a shop here, local. It's not open anymore. But the guy who did it died a week later from a heroin overdose. Wow! But he was a really nice. He was a really nice guy. He's an older guy. He did that like clean, like wore gloves. Everything was professional. Even called with a follow up a few days later, and like he died like of a heroin overdose a couple of days after that. But that one was a little weird. But I have stuff everywhere from all over the place. But lately I just go to my friends. But like I said, I haven't really got anything in a while. But it's nice to have that available to you. But like even some of my friends, like my one good friend Chris that owns Body Muds, we have plans for my back. I don't have anything on my back, and it's just been years, and nothing has came of it yet, because I don't push, because I don't really care all that much, and he's established enough where he just does what he wants to do, and he's never like blown me off or anything, but it's like it's never been my priority, and it's never been a priority for him to do it either. I don't even have any tattoos from him. He's like probably my best friend in the tattooing community at the moment, so it's just not a focus for me anymore, because when you live that life, it's kind of hard to it doesn't matter as much anymore,
Well, it's funny, like I go to a lot of like fishing shows, fishing conventions, because I'm huge into fishing, and it like this interesting trend. I seen that like a lot of them, you go to these like shows, you pay to get in, and it's they're selling equipment, lures, poles, reels. But I've actually seen some like tattoo artists show up and like actually do like fishing tattoos on people, like in the American traditional style and stuff like that. I just think it's so funny. Like this, hey, the least place you expect to see a tattoo artist is at like a fishing convention.
Yeah. Well, you see them everywhere because it's I'm definitely a lot more accepted. As someone who has a lot, I've had a lot. I got my first one when I was in high school. It was actually, I think it was a Christmas present. My mom asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I said I want a tattoo. And like I was already over 18 at that point. Yep. And my mom, like no one in my family had tattoos, but she's like, whatever. If that's what you want. And I got it up here. It's where this rose is. You can sort of see an outline of it. I don't know if you can see it over there. It was back in the 90s tribal. You can kind of see there's a circle and there's like some fins. It was a tribal sun, and it kind of reminded me of a swastika at some point. Like it's not. It's kind of like it's got 4 legs but it's tribal, and I'm like, and it's a circle, so it's not like that. But I'm like, someone could misconstrue that, so I'm like, I got it covered up a couple of years ago. That was my first one ever, but I redesigned it so many times. It looked nice, and then I just kept like, oh, it's not right. So then I got a compass out, and that's kind of what made it have like the swastika look, because I used like a compass and everything was perfectly aligned. Like the original drawing was not perfectly, like that looked better, but I overthought it. So I got this like perfect compass drawn. I'm like, that kind of looks like a swastika, even though there's a circle in the middle and stuff. But I'm like, yeah, I just got to get that covered. So I got it covered up with an old rose, which I don't necessarily need a rose. I pretty much just got that because of the Dropkick Murphy song Rose Tattoo. The easiest way to do a cover-up tattoo is usually flowers, depending on what it is. So I'm like, I'm going to get a flower. I'm just going to get a rose tattoo because there's a song about a rose tattoo from a band I like. Yeah. But I've got this one here. It's a Ouija board. It's a moon, and it is very bad. The lady I got it from, I actually got this tattoo here. This eyeball in a flower. And this one the same day, and she's happy to do this one. This one looks good. I still get compliments because this is like a 30-year-old tattoo. Well, 25-year-old tattoo, and the color still looks really good. And she did this the same way, and she has blowouts and stuff. And then like I got this one here, and she sliced my arm open so I'm iffy about going to certain people anymore.
Yeah, it's funny though. Like, not that I'm gonna talk about a history lesson here, but like, and I totally hate Nazis. I totally hate swastikas. But if you do look back in like the history, the origin of the swastika, it is like in India, a very holy symbol in a way. And like Hitler stole it. Like I've actually known people. I don't know why you would ever do this, but people of Indian descent name their kids like swastika and stuff like that. So don't always like associate it with that, because there is some cultural, religious aspects to that. But I definitely, if I was like you, if I had a tattoo on me and I thought it was a swastika, I'd get it covered up too.
Yeah, well, there was a time like me and a couple of my friends, like we got tattoos, and like he got one. It was a sun too, and the way the outline around the sides looked, it kind of looked like a 6. But it was definitely not a 6, but like the shape of it looked like a 6. So he had a circle that looked like it was circled in 6s, and he's like, it looks like it said 666, 666, like 666 numbers of beast. So he's like freaking out about that. But it's like when we got him that we weren't thinking in context like that. Yeah. But there's all kinds of weird stuff that I have that I think that's the only cover up one that I have. Most of the rest of the stuff has not been covered up. I don't really care what I have. I've got a bunch of unfinished ones, but like this whole arm's unfinished. I can't see it on the camera. This whole arm's unfinished. My chest is mostly finished. It's still not finished. My stomach is mainly just outlines. My right leg so my original plan was there was an anchor in my leg. The chain was going to go up my leg and go to my back, and there was going to be like a pirate ship or a Viking ship on my back. But I have like the underwater scene on my leg. I have a crab. These are all cartoon. A crab, there's a shark, an octopus.
Is there SpongeBob?
No. Jellyfish. There is Aquaman. I do have an Aquaman tattoo. It's not like a traditional Aquaman tattoo. It's like a cartoon one. And then I have, there's a jellyfish. There's an octopus. There is all that. And then it's one of the tattoo artists down there at Body Mods is learning how to do color fill. So I have a lot of blue colored in it, but none of them are finished. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was originally going to go up my back, but the tattoo I was going to do on my back that I was talking to Chris about was, it was like an Odin Viking one. But it's been a couple of years since we even talked about it. If I called and asked him, he would probably try to work me in. But like I said, it's not. I've never was big to get my back tattooed because I can't see it. And how often do I take my shirt off? Hardly ever. So it's not like it's a big deal. Yeah, that's where I was always at with that. But we've really got off of our podcast setup with our talks again, like usual. But we're closing in on our second session for about 40 minutes. So we're about an hour and a half in. So unless we want to take off topic again, what are your final thoughts on our cheap ass podcasting setup?
Well, like, again, I wouldn't say it's like cheap ass. Like, when you do stuff and you try to, do it like on the cheap, it doesn't actually have to be like cheap quality or like cheap looking. Because I think it looks kind of professional. It looks really good. If someone were to come down here and they went be like, oh, look at that chintzy little setup. So it looks really good.
I'll have to take when we're finished here, I'll take a shot of you sitting here from the back so we can see the whole studio, and then I'll cut it in here so everybody can actually see how it looks. Hopefully I'm not like, these are all wrinkly and stuff. It's better than the the dirty cement wall, but
I got these steamers that I always like steam my clothes with in the morning, so it's not an iron. I should bring it next time and we can steam the curtains. But again, I'm not complaining. I think it looks good.
I think I'm gonna go to a thrift store and see if I can find some cool looking retro curtains and hang those up instead. See what I can come up with.
It would be great if you could find Star Wars cartoon curtains or whatever.
I'm sure I can find some Star Wars sheets or something to put in the back. But the problem then we got to deal with the Star Wars copyright stuff.
No doubt. But I think we're both big Star Wars fans.
We can just like stars or something. I could just put a green screen so we can put stuff back. But yeah, green screen is a possibility. But I don't know. I don't know what we put on it. We'll just make a virtual studio. But there's stuff that definitely needs improved. I think when I add the backlights and the plan for that, and then when I adjust the lights, it'll look a little smoother. I think that we ourselves, our faces and everything else, looks better. The only thing I notice is the camera focus and shaking a little bit. But besides the technical stuff that I'm still working out, the point of this show is to show our hobbies, and this is one of the hobbies. And we're showing you the crappy stuff so you can see the improvements. That's kind of the point, I definitely, from our first episode to this, the video quality is much better. The sound quality probably is much better. I haven't listened to it, but I'm guessing it is.
Yeah, and we're going to be improving every week. Because I think we're both really into the whole continuous improvement mindset. You do one thing one day, and then hopefully the next day you do things 1% better. There's a lot of people out there telling you that, but that's one thing we definitely want to do with this podcast as well. Every episode, it's going to be better and better until we kind of hit where we want to be.
Yeah, well, and it's a lot to put out. Because 1 week I bought the cameras, 1 week I bought the microphones, 1 week I bought. I'm just slowly building up everything instead of buying everything all at once. Because, you're pretty consistent, but every other podcast I did, the co-hosts have always kind of flaked out after a couple weeks. So it's I don't want to spend $1 million and then have everything fall through. And I think if you were to leave the podcast and I was to do it myself, as a single camera, thing, I don't think that I really need to do anything more except for maybe the background and stuff. But having a second person and because it's kind of the studio is kind of a character in the podcast when there's, interaction. Whereas when you're just by yourself, the background doesn't matter. So it's kind of I'm trying to build something that it's part of the show,
But this is a good segue maybe, because we do have an email address, right, for our podcast.
Oh, yeah. So it is just Shiney, but we spell SHINEY compulsion @gmail.com. No spaces, no capital letters. I actually got that, which is one of the reasons that it was good that we decided to spell Shiny that way, because that's not the traditional spelling of it.
Well, I was thinking people can kind of look at to see what they think. Maybe they have some ideas they can email us on, or hey, maybe try this differently, or I didn't like this in terms of our setup or the lighting or whatever. We'd love to get some feedback what you all think there listening to us.
Yeah, and we have our Facebook page, which if you're listening to this, you probably already know about, because that's our main community. I think it's our only social media presence, because I don't really do TikTok. I watch them. But I don't use it as social media. I just use it as a video watcher.
Yep.
YouTube, I don't really interact with YouTube, but I put things on YouTube. But Facebook's kind of our hub right now.
Yep.
And we have the Facebook page, we have the YouTube channel, and we have a Spotify podcast page right now. That's the only things we have so far, and I'll keep adding to it because that's the expansion. But yeah, I'm not super into I don't understand Instagram quite anymore. I had pretty sizable following with my paintings on Instagram at one point, but Instagram was a different thing back then. It's kind of more something that I don't necessarily, and I don't understand Blue Sky or Threads. I don't understand I understand that you're looking at things, but I don't understand what I'm supposed to put on there for interaction. Like that part of it is beyond me. Like I'm not some 16-year-old girl that's taking videos of my makeup and stuff. It's like I don't understand that that's kind of generation beyond me, I guess.
Yeah, I've been reading stuff on like Reddit and stuff. It would be, I don't know what everyone thinks about Reddit there, but that's been something interesting I've been reading lately, like the crazy stories, but also like there's a lot of like good advice on there too.
Yeah, well, that's all I do. I listen to podcasts all day, every day at work, and that's right now all I listen to is Reddit stories. And even
they're hilarious.
That's what I use on TikTok because when I come home from work, I like to just sit and so I put my headphone in and I look at TikTok. But when I'm looking at TikTok, it's just those Reddit stories. So it's like it's telling you a story and the video is completely pointless. Yeah, but I'm listening to the story. It's like Minecraft characters jumping around, or like some dude that's a carpenter. That's like the video has nothing to do with the content of the audio, but like I'm just listening to the story, and that's what I mainly use TikTok for. Which for me, it's just. Yeah, it's not. I don't understand the social aspect of it really. Yeah, but that's some old, I guess. But that's something I guess we'll have to look into if we want to expand more. But I think we have a good base. After 33 followers, and we didn't really gain anything from the Fizzy Arcade episode. We didn't gain followers, but we kept with what we had. So we need to. Obviously, you don't go from nothing to everything all at once. We're not, hot 20-year-old girls or super guys with like six packs that are like we're older guys with weird hobbies, and you're just kind of watching us build this as we go.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe we'll do some more live episodes at like different locations. Maybe we'll build some followings there, come. And if you ever see us out in public, we're very friendly people. I think we're kind of maybe even on the shy side a little bit, but if you see us in public, definitely but I'm more reserved. You definitely are. Yeah, you got to kind of get to know me, and then like once you get to know me, then I can't shut up. But definitely, if you see us in public, come say hello, come say hi. We're friendly people.
And we have some talks going with a few people to do like specialty episodes, like we did our friend Brett and Christina's arcade. Yep. I haven't asked her yet, but I am going to try to get a hold of Lolly Rod out in Pottsville and go to Rage Parade and talk about the skate business. My friend at Chris at the Body Mods, I haven't asked him yet, but I'm sure I could work out some sort of interview with him. Our friends from Trivia Night out at Spyglass, I talked to the owner out there about doing something with him, so we can probably do something out there. And then you had talked to people down at the
Steam in Sunbury, going down there, talking to a bunch of people, about their hobbies and what all they can do there, and to further their hobbies and, explore themselves like artistically and whatnot.
And like, I would like to do some live shows at some point. Which I don't have a problem with doing live shows. I'll go in front of people and talk all day. You don't have a ton of experience talking in front of people, but we'd just be talking.
Yeah.
You'll pick it up as you do it, as long as you don't freak out and get stage fright.
No, I used to do that. Like I used to
get really bad. Yeah.
So nervous, like doing like speeches and stuff like that. And then like one thing I kind of like learned like to not be nervous was like to get dressed up for like that type of stuff and wear like bow ties. Like I stood out, and then I stopped being nervous. And it's so funny. Like I used to go on like interviews, and I still do interviews for like jobs when I have them, and I wear a bow tie just so I'm not nervous. But all the time, like these people are like, "Oh my God, you're my bow tie wearing buddy," and stuff like that. I remember the bow ties. It's such like a memorable thing. But I don't know why, like bow ties, like make me not nervous, like, even though I'm like kind of sticking myself out there. So maybe if we see us live, maybe I'll wear a bow tie.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be really scared of public speaking. I'm not anymore. If you see me when I'm starting something big, like if you look at my handle start getting shaky. But besides that, I do pretty good. And those who know me from roller derby, like I did the Blood Bowl, which is a triple header. So I've went 6-7 hours talking to the crowd and announcing by myself with no one to talk to, and I never shut up. So I can talk all day. I could do a show by myself, but it's like I'm not interesting enough by myself to be doing a show. But yeah, I think we can definitely do some kind of live thing.
Definitely.
And like I said, Brett wants us to come back up and do another episode up there, and I'm in talks with him to do a couple other ideas I have. It's going to be up to him with what he wants to do, but I think that he's got a little space up there where we could be off to the side on the back wall there and do a show and not affect the actual arcade. But if some people wanted to come and watch, that would work out. And out at Spyglass, I think that if we do that episode, he likes to do stuff there, like usually music and stuff, but maybe he would let us sit there and do a show there. And I know friends at a couple other places, so we can probably pull something off to do some live shows. Which live shows would be pretty fun, I think, but I'd have to make a new setup. That would probably be pretty easy. We'd probably just use microphones. We wouldn't worry so much about all the extra stuff, but
yeah. Maybe we could go to a comic convention or something like that, or even like a downtown event here in Sunbury and just walk through the crowd and try to get people to talk about different stuff. We have so many different ideas of what we want to do. It's just, we're definitely going to have to filter them down and get to exactly what we're going to be doing.
Yeah. Well, my friend, Chris he's one of the people in charge of the Ink in the Ring tattoo convention down here. Maybe
that would be perfect.
Maybe I can talk to him about doing a show because that's I believe 3-day event. So
yeah,
I'm sure he'd be okay with us doing a live episode in front of the crowd there. I'd have to ask him for sure, but I'm sure I could.
Or we can even go there and talk to people. Hey, you just got your first tattoo. How was it? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be live.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do a whole episode on how to do a tattoo convention and what goes on there. I think he'd definitely be good for something like that. He's pretty good. He understands the creative side of things a lot. I've talked to him a lot about this, so I think he'd probably be pretty encouraging for us. So I'll have to reach out to him for that. But yeah, we have some plans. So just the follow through is usually the issue. So, but we both have put some effort in, which it's nice to have someone that's actually helpful. Usually when I do this, it's everybody's great. We record one episode, then it's like, I don't know if I can make it this week.
Yeah.
So it's nice to we have 3 full episodes done, and then we have plans for more. So at least we're moving forward. And it looks like we're going to have a 2-hour episode every week at this rate. Yeah. Last week's wasn't 2 hours, but it would have been 2 hours if we weren't interrupted, probably.
Well, yeah. So what for the people out there, what you were talking to me, what's going to be a release schedule so people can be looking forward to other episodes?
So my plan, in the past, if you put something out on the weekend, Friday night or Saturday night, nobody sees it. So for me, and the audiences that I have, which is local people and all that stuff, you want them to see it first thing Monday morning. So the goal is to have them out Sunday night or Monday morning. Yeah. Right now I've been putting them out Sunday night because we recorded Saturday the first 2 times. We're recording Sunday today because he was busy yesterday and I was setting up yesterday. Yep. But we'll probably be putting out an episode Sunday night or early Monday morning every week. And it will be anywhere from, I'm guessing, between half hour, 45 minutes on up, depending who we're talking to. If it's just the 2 of us, we go for 2 hours. If it's with other people, not everybody's going to be sitting and talk for 2 hours with us. I think we would have talked longer with Brett if it wasn't. Maybe if we would have went up an hour earlier. Yeah. No, I think it still worked out. It was still good. I think we left a lot there, but that was because we was last minute, and he also had a lot going on. So he definitely wants to come up and do some more. So we'll be able to do some more with him. Yeah. Get some more of the Inside Arcade stuff. We're going to do the Steam Lab stuff. We're going to talk to some people there. We're going to, when we talk to Spyglass, and we're not going to talk about owning a restaurant. The focus I told him is they have a brewery, they have wine, and they do big live concerts. So we're still nothing's set with him, but those are the ideas, and he was open to those ideas. So we have to see what'll happen there. But we're not going to go talk to a restaurant. We're going to talk to a guy who runs a winery. And a brewery, and we're going to see the things that are happening in those things, because those are good hobbies to start with. And I'm not getting into brewing because I don't really like to drink, and I know you don't really like to drink, but let's learn about it. I did have one of his hard sodas last week. We were at that trivia, and we got our food actually before trivia started because everything was delayed. And we were done eating by the second round, and with those people, trivia also ran a little longer. So I got one, and it tastes remember Dimetap from the 90s?
Dimetap? The cough medicine.
It tastes exactly like that. So it tastes good. They're for me, I'm not a drinker. I can't. He sells it now. You can buy it at Wise and stuff. It's good and all that. It's a little bit pricier than the national. a pack of like Smirnoff is like $10. This is like a pack for $14. It's a little more expensive. You're going to help a local company, so it's worth it. And I think the quality is better, but I'm not a drinker, so it's like it's hard to spend that much. But if you are a drinker, to spend that extra little bit of money and help out a local business, and I think it's a better quality, I would recommend the hard soda. I've only tried grape because I like grape soda. So we'll see. Maybe I'll try another kind next week. You can get a flight of them out there too, so you get like samples of them because he has some of them on tap. So maybe next time we're out there maybe we'll do a mini episode on our next trivia night. We'll just record at the table. We'll do it on our phones or whatever. Yeah. And we'll see who's there. But yeah, we do trivia nights on Thursdays. It's Spyglass. I believe it starts at 6:30. So if you guys want to come out and see us or join trivia night, we have the No Drama Llamas trivia team there. We do that. Yep. I'm there every week. Tim's been there almost every week, but we usually have a team there every week, and we got a pretty good record of winning out there. We're not undefeated or anything, but we have our enemy team out there. I think they dominated the whole trivia thing until we showed up, because we've won every month except for one, and the one that we lost, it was
a brutal week.
Yeah, it was just a week where the questions did not fall in anywhere we knew, and we did horrible. But we were winning into that. Like last month, we won by a pretty sizable amount, and then the month before that, we won only by a few points. But this month, we're in 6th place going into week 2, but most of those teams won't show up for week 2. So then our score so there's the weekly, and then there's the monthly, and like we try to win every week. But our goal is to try to win for the month if we're having bad weeks. So we try to keep that score as high as possible. And we don't usually have our full team ever.
Yep.
Like one time recently, we had 7 people because we had extra people coming. He left us play with 7. Normally you're allowed to have 6, but we had that 7th person, and we won that week. But when you have 2-3 people, it's hard to know every subject. So you need at least 4, 5, 6 people to be super successful, unless it depends on what the questions of the week are.
Yeah, the topics.
Yeah, because I kind of have my areas, and the things that I don't know, I try to take educated guesses, which are very hit or miss. But like Tim's wife I know a lot about music because I'm DJing and all that stuff, but she kind of fills in a lot of the stuff I had. Yeah. That week that Christina and Brett came last, but the Billboard chart for that week was 2004.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that anybody had perfect. They pick a Billboard year, and they do the song and the title, or the song title and the artist for 1 point, and there's 10 of them. You do the top 10. We had a perfect 20 that week, and if it was me, we would not have perfect 20.
Yeah. All I got to say is #23 though.
Yeah. So that's what my wife comes with, and she usually answers nothing. But she is our secretary. She writes down the answers for us. And one time it was just the 3 of us. It was me, my wife, and then Tim was there. And we had a question. It was how many solo wins did Serena Williams have? And I'm like, I have no idea. And Tim's like, I have no idea. Steph's like, I'm just going to put 23. And she was right.
Yep.
So that is legendary for her.
Yep.
This last week was pretty rough. I took my 15-year-old son, which I think he just wanted to come with for food, but he was actually pretty helpful. The year was 2009, which he was born in 2009, but he knew enough of the music. Like there was a Taylor Swift, there was a Kanye, like ones that I wouldn't have got. So he helped out with that. But you need to have more than 3-4 people to win consistently, unless you're super knowledgeable in everything that they have that week. But I'm not in everything. Yeah, I know a lot. You know a lot, but it's like we have big holes. We usually do bad in sports and Disney.
Yeah. But like Disney, come on now. But it's so obscure references, and it's a lot of like the newer Disney stuff.
Because we're in our 40s, so and our kids are old enough that like the past 10 years of Disney movies are kind of not something that we necessarily would have seen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of interesting too. Like, you and I are friends, our wives are friends, and also, my youngest child is friends with your youngest child and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's weird because my wife and your wife are friends from roller derby, and then because your wife was president of the league and I announced for the league, so I had a lot of interactions with her, and I was friends with her since she was friends with my wife, and then you're pretty quiet unless
Yep.
we get to know you. So it's like
Yep.
it took a while before we became friends, but then you started coming to trivia, and then you started
Yep.
coming even when your wife wasn't coming. So
Yep.
we kind of became friends through that. But yeah, like our families are definitely friends. My oldest son knows your son.
Yep.
But my son and your son both work at the skating rink.
Yep.
They have the same classes at school. So like our whole families are friends, and we kind of matched up pretty good in most things in our life. Similar views on things, and you know, one of us isn't a Trumper and the other one's an anti-Trumper. We kind of line up on most of those things, and same places in our life, which is a big problem when you're our age. If you have 8-year-old kids versus someone who's high school kids, it's hard to line your lives up to do anything. But we're kind of in a similar place in life, so.
Yeah, it's definitely tougher, like when you're younger and, you know, your kids are young and stuff like that. You got to kind of put everything together. You got to manage the family life. You know, we both experienced that, but now we're kind of like on the other end of that a little bit.
Yeah, we have some free time. We still have kids, but they can take care of themselves, so we don't have to babysit them. We don't have to, they're old enough where they can stay home by themselves. They can feed themselves dinner if they have to, because on Thursday nights, my kids have to feed themselves. Usually I give them money to order something, but, you know, it's nice to have older kids that are useful, especially since they can drive. But that's helpful. And your older daughter's out in college, and she's away, but you guys are still do a lot with her from the sounds of it.
Yep. My daughter Amelie, like she lives in North Jersey, and that's where I kind of grew up and whatnot. We moved from Sunbury here to northern New Jersey for a while to take care of a sick family member, and my daughter just loved the area so much, and she's staying there, stuck it out there. Loves, appreciates everything about it.
Yeah, we've been here in Sunbury. My wife grew up here her whole life, and she's basically never lived outside of Sunbury, but I'm originally out from towards Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been pretty here established. I'm not one for traveling, so I don't go too far too often, but I appreciate when people I like the other areas to visit sometimes. I just hate traveling to get there. But it's nice to some of those areas where there's more stuff going on, it's a lot nicer, but I'm just kind of I don't want to move again.
No, I don't want to move here. I love living here, but I also love going on adventures and trips. Like someone tells me about a unique, cool place and stuff like that. Oop, gotta be there, gotta go, make it happen.
I always want to. I'm gonna drive there. I don't know if I can. But I'm getting further out and doing some stuff. I'm trying to get into a roller derby tournament that's out in Pittsburgh area in May. I don't usually apply for things like that. I usually just people invite me, but I'm trying to visit some family out there and see what I can do out there. And my wife's doing one in Wilkes-Barre. She applied to do one in Wilkes-Barre here, a tournament, 3-day tournament coming up. And I'm like, well, if we're going to go up, see if they want me to announce, because I've announced for them before. So we travel a little bit. It's not too much.
Yep. But it's kind of interesting when you say Pittsburgh. I love the city of Pittsburgh. I love Western Pennsylvania. And one thing I want to kind of explore more is the whole Erie area this year. Definitely want to do some fishing out there and stuff like that. And then with Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and the Poconos, I love even just taking day trips out there, exploring different things. One thing I think you and I should definitely check out, kind of the whole Wilkes-Barre area, is Concrete City. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Somewhat, but I don't. I've never put a whole lot of thought into it.
Yeah, we could do a field trip. Definitely a cool place to take pics. Cool place to explore. But anything that's abandoned or just left to be to fall to the ground and stuff, I'm all about it. I want to be there. I want to explore it.
So we'll definitely over the summer we'll definitely have to do some road trips and visit some cool places. Maybe we'll even put out some mini episodes on stuff like that. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Mm-hmm.
So we're still trying to figure out this whole thing, but as you can tell, as we're about 2 hours in, we can talk about anything for forever.
Yep.
So we about 4 minutes talking about the podcast setup, and then about an hour and a half talking about everything else.
We could talk more about the setup, but I think it's.
I don't think we have too much more to talk about at this point. Really, I think with the original setup, with all the stuff I have, you can't see behind me, the table is covered with stuff that I end up not using. But it's really pretty simple with what we ended up with. The most complicated thing is that you're technically remoted into me.
Yeah.
But besides that, everything turned out pretty good. We're going to make it look a little better for next time, and we'll keep improving. If you have suggestions, I have the email that I've told you guys previously, and I'll tag it on the episode end here. I'll put our contact information, our Facebook page, and all that stuff. And I will put all that on the end of the episode. So this episode is going to end. This is the first time we're recording a full episode of the Riverside I'm going to take in the back side of the podcast. So I'll talk about the editing side. So like I said, trying to keep free. It's DaVinci Resolve. I don't know if you've ever used it. It's a professional level video editing software. And like always, there's limited functionality with free. You can buy upgrades. I think to buy the full thing, it's like $300. But the free version is more than enough for what I need because it gives you tools to like build what they call composite. So like at the beginning of this episode, you see the logo fly across the screen.
Yeah.
That's a composite shot. Like it gives you the tools to make those things on your own, or you can pay some money to have some things available to you. And I do a mixture of both, some of the free ones and then some of the ones I do on my own. But that's a professional level software, which is probably complicated for most people that don't do video editing. We can honestly we can sit and do this whole thing on OBS, which is online broadcasting software. I think that's what it's called. OBS. That's what a lot of Twitch streamers use and all that kind of stuff. We could do, that's what I use at the radio station. It's free software. You can set up scenes and do all that stuff there. But the problem is hooking up two cameras, two microphones on one computer. That's my issue there. That would be ultimately the best way to do it for me. Free software. And it's basically, you're running it live. You would have your intro. You press a button. It plays the intro. You'd have the file. We would record. We could shift cameras and we could do all that stuff live and then edit it later. But for what I find, and I think what most podcasters do some video stuff is you're just going to record it on your phone or with like your webcams, record your audio. You just use CapCut. That's free software. And that's the one I see the most people use. You can pay to get more features, but something like that, it's free editing software to throw together something to throw to YouTube. I think that's what a lot of people are using to start out. But there's a lot of different stuff like that to use. But yeah, DaVinci Resolve is the one that I'm using now, which is a Blackmagic and the ATEM. It's that company. So they do professional level stuff. I would like to get one of those switchers, but I don't want to spend $300 on one. Also, I need to buy new cameras because these are USB cameras and that takes HDMI input. So I do have some HDMI cameras, but they're not. They're so old the batteries don't really hold a charge, and they're both cameras that I can't leave plugged in while I'm recording properly. So I would need to pick up new cameras. But that would be down the line. I did see these cool ones that have the AI follow lenses that they move. That I would like to get those. I found a couple of those for less than $100, but that might be something. If we can get this studio shifted so we're side by side with one camera, that's the kind of camera I would like to have. Yeah. They're like from 100 to 150. That would be our next step up. DSLR would be the one after that, but I don't necessarily want to spend that kind of money. I think I'd be more happy with the movable cameras. So we'll have to see. That's the plans for the future. And we're at over 2 hours, so we should probably stop. So anything else to add in before we go out?
No, just everyone, thank you for listening and letting us know that you've been listening. And please reach out, tell one of us, or email us, say, hey, I listened to the show. I loved it. We love appreciation and appreciate your comments.
Yeah, and we can reach out to us, and I don't know how sharing something like this would work, but trying to expand our audience a little bit. We don't expect to be, have 1 million followers here, but we keep putting this out. We want to get that number a little higher. I don't think we're at a place where we can have goals yet, but 100 followers would be good. Yeah, maybe by episode 10. And we're in episode 3. So let's see what happens there. I'm also, since I have this out now, I'm going to start recording interviews on the roller derby side on my other podcast. I'm going to bring that back. So if you follow us there and you like us talking, we're going to do that. Yeah. And then we'll start throwing in some shorter stuff with our adventures and might have a couple other things coming up. So we're hoping to kind of build a whole channel and a thing with this. So we should hopefully have something to talk about because we can endlessly talk about anything, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to hurt for any topics or things to discuss about.
We just need to have people that actually want to listen to us.
Yeah, I think they already do, though.
We've got good feedback for the first 2 episodes, but it's limited because we've only got so many followers, but everybody seems to be liking what we're doing. So any suggestions, input, or if you think you do something that we might want to talk to you about, let us know because we can throw another microphone here or we can record live somewhere else. And we're always looking for something new to do. And I'm going to stop us here because otherwise we'll talk forever. So did we ever come up with our sign off? Do we just say bye? What do we do?
I don't know. I don't think we have one yet.
Alright.
Nothing iconic.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that. We're trying to have our established routine with all this stuff. I've spent a little more time this week working on our intro and outro, so I'm hoping that I can have the same one. I actually took the Shiny Thing song, I recut it, and I changed the vocals, and I have the recorded guitar, and it's still AI singing at this point. I haven't replaced it with my voice yet, but I have it's going to end up being an acoustic version, which I think the version I posted was acoustic, but the guitar part's done. I just need to record vocals, but the vocals are there with AI because that's how I use it for my timing. So that is going to be our new intro and outro song, at least for this week.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to hear that at the beginning, and I will tag most of it on at the end. So I'm going to try to do an episode on songwriting at some point, and we're going to write a song together, but we're going to use some AI tools for that. And that's going to be an episode up pretty soon. But otherwise, we will be back next week or maybe sooner. So for me and Tim, we'll say bye, and we'll be back next week.
Okay, bye for now.
Where did it go? My organized disaster. Piles of my life, one project at a time. Never finished what I started, but I need something new. I have an idea, a fleeting thought. I can figure it out. Am I a genius? Am I crazy? Can't stop something shiny over there. How can you walk in a straight line with so many paths? I know I need to focus. I can't dull it, it's too much. I need to sleep, wake up, reset, not refreshed. Time to start another jumbled mess.